Imagine a world where crimes couldn't be solved with DNA, where the personal computer in your home didn't exist. That reality was closer than you think. Tonight, we're revealing the 10 surprising inventions from the 1980s that quietly saved us from that world. MTV, 1981. Do you remember where you were on August 1st, 1981? For millions of teenagers, it was the day the entire world of music changed forever. You turned on your television, and instead of a sitcom or the news, you saw something new, something electric. You heard the words, "Ladies and gentlemen, rock and roll," followed by the prophetic first music video ever played. "Video Killed the Radio Star" by the Buggles. In that moment, MTV wasn't just a new cable channel. It was the birth of a visual universe for music. Before MTV, music was something you primarily listened to. After MTV, music was something you watched. For the first time, artists could tell a story that went beyond their lyrics. The channel helped boost the fame of some of today's most celebrated artists, turning singers like Madonna, Prince, and the members of Duran Duran into global superstars. Not just for their sound, but for their style and on-screen presence. It became the ultimate tastemaker, dictating not only what songs were popular, but what fashion was cool. It was more than just a channel. It was the cultural heart of a generation. The channel that taught us it wasn't enough to just hear the music, you had to see it too. The artificial human heart, 1982. In an era of incredible technological optimism, perhaps no invention captured the hope and fragility of human life more than the artificial heart. The world's first, the Jarvik 7, was invented by Dr. Robert Jarvik. And on December 2nd, 1982, at the University of Utah, history was made. A surgeon, Dr. William DeVries, successfully implanted the Jarvik 7 into Barney Clark, a Seattle dentist who bravely volunteered for the experimental surgery. In an era of incredible technological optimism, perhaps no invention captured the hope and fragility of human life more than the artificial heart. The world's first, the Jarvik 7, was invented by Dr. Robert Jarvik. And on December 2nd, 1982, at the University of Utah, history was made. A surgeon, Dr. William DeVries, successfully implanted the Jarvik 7 into Barney Clark, a Seattle dentist who bravely volunteered for the experimental surgery. For 112 days, Clark was kept alive by this mechanical pump, a humming, clicking machine that had taken over the most vital human function. The Jarvik 7 was never meant to be a permanent solution. It became widely used as a temporary bridge, a life-saving device that could keep a person alive while they waited for a donated human heart. It was a profound moment in medicine, blurring the line between man and machine. While the technology has evolved significantly since then, the Jarvik 7 was the first bold step, a testament to human ingenuity and our relentless fight against mortality. It offered a glimpse into a future where science could mend a broken heart, literally. A humming, mechanical miracle that proved even the most vital parts of us could be rebuilt. The CD player, 1982. For decades, our music was tied to the physical wear and tear of vinyl records and the annoying hiss of cassette tapes. Then, in 1982, Sony released the CDP-101, the world's first commercial compact disc player, and suddenly, music sounded perfect. The CD promised a crystal-clear digital listening experience, free from scratches, pops, and tape hiss. It felt like sorcery. The player itself looked like a high-tech machine from the future, with its smooth, sliding tray and glowing digital display. But this futuristic sound came at a price. The first CD player was sold for a whopping $674, while a single compact disc cost around $15. In today's money, that's like paying thousands for the player and over $40 for one album. Initially, CD players were seen as luxury products for the wealthy, a high-end toy for audiophiles. But as they slowly became more mainstream throughout the decade, prices dropped, and these magical machines made their way into a majority of American households, forever changing the way we valued and listened to our music. The expensive, magical box that finally let us listen to our music without all the hiss and crackle. The Camcorder, 1983. Before the camcorder, home movies were a major production involving cumbersome film projectors and reels. In 1982, Sony released its Betacam camera for news organizations. But just 1 year later, the company refined that technology for the consumer market, and the age of the home video was born. Suddenly, you could be the director of your own life. These early camcorders were heavy, often resting on a parent's shoulder, making every family event feel like a major Hollywood production. You'd pop in a tape, either a Betamax or, more popularly, a VHS cassette, and capture hours of shaky footage. These tapes became the time capsules of our lives. Birthday parties with bad haircuts, awkward school plays, family vacations, and endless footage of pets doing absolutely nothing. The quality wasn't great, and the sound was often muffled, but it was ours. For the first time, we could instantly watch our memories on our own television sets. No film developing required. It was a revolutionary way to document our lives, preserving moments not as still photographs, but as living, breathing memories. The heavy, shoulder-mounted machine that turned every dad into a low-budget Steven Spielberg. DNA fingerprinting, 1984. While pop culture and technology were changing our daily lives, a quiet revolution was happening in a laboratory in England that would change society forever. In 1984, a geneticist named Dr. Alec Jeffreys at the University of Leicester was studying hereditary diseases. It was during this research that he had a eureka moment, discovering that certain repetitive patterns in a person's DNA are unique to them unless they have an identical twin. He realized that these variations could be used to identify an individual with incredible accuracy. He called his new finding genetic fingerprinting. This wasn't just an academic discovery. It had immediate, real-world consequences. His new method was first used to solve 2 murders that had occurred near the university. In an astonishing display of science, the new method worked to exonerate an innocent suspect who had confessed under pressure, and later to convict the actual guilty person. 17. This invention completely revolutionized forensic science, giving law enforcement an almost infallible tool to solve crimes and providing a powerful new way to prove innocence or guilt. It was an invisible clue that existed in every one of us. The invention that proved our very own DNA could tell a truer story than any witness. The Apple Macintosh, 1984. Before 1984, computers were mysterious, intimidating machines for hobbyists, scientists, and big corporations. They often ran on complex, text-based commands that the average person couldn't understand. Then, Apple released the Macintosh, and for the first time, a computer felt friendly. Unlike other computers at the time, including Apple's own expensive Lisa, the Macintosh was designed for the person on the street, as Steve Jobs put it. It was one of the world's first commercially successful personal computers to feature a graphical user interface and a mouse. Instead of typing cryptic commands, you could simply point and click. There were icons that looked like what they represented: a file folder, a paintbrush, even a trash can. It was intuitive, visual, and approachable. While still expensive at $2,500, it was a fraction of the cost of its predecessors. The Macintosh didn't just revolutionize the industry, it changed our entire relationship with technology. It introduced the idea that a powerful machine could also be simple and delightful to use. It was the computer that smiled back at you. The computer that proved you didn't need to be a genius to use one, but it certainly helped to have one build it. Microsoft Windows, 1985. While Apple was making waves with its all-in-one Macintosh, a young Bill Gates was spearheading a different approach over at Microsoft. In November of 1985, the company launched its first major version of a new operating system, Windows 1. This wasn't a complete operating system on its own, but rather a graphical shell that ran on top of the text-based MS-DOS. Like the Macintosh, the iconic feature of Windows was that it relied heavily on the use of a mouse to input information. While most other systems still used keyboard commands, it allowed users to see and work with multiple programs at once in different windows on the screen, a concept that is now the absolute foundation of modern computing. The first version of Windows was not a massive commercial success. It was slow, and it lacked the polish of Apple's system, but it was a critical first step. Since that initial launch, Microsoft has released over 10 major versions of the operating system, with each generation becoming more powerful and user-friendly. Windows would eventually go on to dominate the personal computer market for decades, bringing computing to billions of people around the world. The operating system that started with a few simple windows and ended up building a digital house for the entire world. The Disposable Camera, 1987. Although the concept of a disposable camera had been around for ages, it wasn't until the late 1980s that it truly became a cultural phenomenon. In 1987, Kodak released the Fling, a simple, plastic, single-use camera preloaded with a roll of film good for 24 photos. It cost only $6.95. Suddenly, photography was accessible to everyone, everywhere, without the fear of damaging an expensive camera. The disposable camera became the ultimate tool for capturing life's spontaneous moments. They were staples at parties, vacations, concerts, and school trips. You would just point, shoot, and hope for the best. After you finished the roll, you didn't take the film out. You dropped the entire camera off at the photo lab. The real excitement came a few days later when you picked up your prints and finally saw what you had captured. It was a lottery of memories, some blurry, some with your thumb in the corner, and a few perfect gems. Between 1988 and 1992, sales grew from 3 million to over 21 million cameras a year as other companies released their own versions. A cheap plastic box that taught us the joy of not knowing what you have until you get the pictures back. Prozac, 1987. Not all world-changing inventions are gadgets you can hold in your hand. Some change the world from the inside out. After being approved by the Food and Drug Administration, the antidepressant Prozac was introduced to the market in 1987. For people suffering from clinical depression, this new medication felt like a miracle. It was part of a new class of drugs called SSRIs, which were believed to have fewer side effects than older antidepressants. Doctors began prescribing the new medication, and its popularity exploded. By 1989, some pharmacies were filling more than 65,000 Prozac prescriptions a month. Prozac became more than a drug. It became a cultural phenomenon. It sparked a national conversation about mental health, depression, and the role of medication in treating it. However, it also faced controversy, with some people claiming the drug had severe side effects, including suicidal thoughts. In spite of the controversy, Prozac represented a major shift in the treatment of depression, offering hope to millions and helping to reduce the stigma surrounding mental illness. The little pill that started a massive conversation about our brains, our sadness, and our hope for a better day. The Nintendo Game Boy, 1989. Just as the decade was coming to a close,
Yes,
Nintendo,
cracked 40,000.
a company that had been
40,000?
founded 100 years
That's a company
earlier,
record, isn't it?
1889,
I think so.
released one of its
Play
most
some real
popular
power
and
games with a new
revolutionary
Nintendo
toys.
Game Boy. There's a mind-bending Tetris game cartridge included and a whole range of other powerful games to collect.
It was a
Rematch at
personal,
one.
portable gaming device
Eyebags first
that let
turn.
users play
The only power games worth winning are on new Game Boy.
It was first released in Japan, but after much success, it became available in the United States. Bundled with legendary games like Super Mario Land and the incredibly addictive Tetris. Compared to its competitors, the Game Boy's hardware was not the most powerful. It had a small, green-tinted monochrome screen, but its durable design and superior battery life made it the undisputed king of handhelds. It became a constant companion for kids on long car rides, in schoolyards, and under the covers with a flashlight long after bedtime. The Game Boy wasn't just a toy, it was a portal to other worlds that you could hold in the palm of your hand, proving that a great game was more important than flashy graphics. The chunky gray brick that taught us that as long as you have Tetris, you'll never be bored again.